Hi, my name is Chris, aka The Philosopher's Games, or TPhGames as my little games channel here is called, and today we look into the Cyberpunk 2077 free update 2.3, which released just a few days ago. First of all, I play on PC using the Steam version, but most of it should also apply to the other versions. What does patch 2.3 actually bring to the game? I think the biggest new feature will be the AutoDrive, so your car can drive automatically to a location without you doing any inputs. Further, they added a cinematic camera for this, which is also pretty cool. And related to this, there is now the Delamain taxi cabs you can call and then say to Delamain, drive me there. You can select a location on the map as long as it has a road basically, and then it will charge you a fee and drive you there automatically. Further, the patch also adds 3 new vehicles. Of those, 1 is a new motorcycle, and there will be 5 new quests related to these 4 vehicles. So that is, I think, also a pretty nice addition to the game. Further, Rayfield's CrystalCoat, so a paint job that allows you to change the color of your car, also comes to the, let's say, lower end vehicles in the game as well, so more cars are now available for CrystalCoat. Further, the photo mode gets new options, and then some technical stuff was added as well, like FSR 3.1 and FSR 4, at least if you have the required hardware for those features, and XeSS 2.0 and HDR10+, and for the console players they added VRR, variable refresh rate, which should make things a lot smoother on the console. So that overall is basically what the patch adds to the game, with some bug fixes here and there. There's also a feature where you can look at Johnny and then tell him to go away, and he just won't spawn in your car for some time, which is also nice, but it feels like it's kind of a bit bugged. I used it once and said never mind, and since then I can't use this feature anymore. This dialogue field is never appearing again, and also the spawn rate seems to be pretty inconsistent now. So I don't know if I did something wrong or it has to do with some mods I have installed. I don't know. We talk also about mods in a moment. I already played through all the new content and tried everything out, and these here are basically my impressions, thoughts on that. I think a lot of people expected a bit more, especially because it was announced it's comparable to patch 2.2 in scope, but I just think they really just meant how many new features will there be, not necessarily what these features are. 2.2 added, for example, if I remember correctly, some new haircuts and also some new things you could select for cyberware in your face and so on, basically cosmetic things, and people expected this also on this patch and did not get it. So in the community some people were a bit disappointed. However, they still added a big immersive feature with AutoDrive. I think this is more like an immersive feature. Not sure how useful it is, but for some people who like to cruise through Night City and look at everything, I think it's definitely a nice little addition. Especially if you consider that this is not an easy to implement feature, because there are so many weird interactions that are possible in the game, and kind of playtesting this is definitely a bit difficult. So I would consider this a very big feature actually. However, the question remains, how much will you use this particular feature in a normal playthrough? Probably not that much, but I can definitely see its uses. I don't know, you want to go from A to B and just want to grab a snack in between or something like that. That would be one possibility. Or you play on your high-end PC with path tracing and just want to slowly drive through the city and immerse yourself in it and appreciate the technical and visual fidelity of the game. So I can also totally see that, but it's not like a feature that let you experience the game in a completely new way you have never done before. It's just a very nice little addition to the game, and that's about it, I think. What is more interesting is that there are 4 new vehicles, though to be fair, the game already has a quite huge selection of vehicles. The new vehicles do not count towards any achievements or whatever, so they are separate from that, but I think they made some nice additions. First of all, we get a truck, which is the first truck you can get as your own vehicle. course, you could just steal one from the street, that's also possible. And then we get a Caliburn with machine guns, which is pretty cool. We get another super sports car, which is also looking pretty nice, but it's pretty similar to the Caliburn, to be honest. And then we also get a new motorcycle, which we can at least cosmetically customize when we purchase it. So you can, for example, say, I want these protectors on the wheels, or I don't want them, so you can turn them on or off. It's not too complex, it's just on or off. That's basically it, and I think that's a pretty cool idea. Maybe if they add more cars to the game, they allow us to also have this customization feature again. But yeah, I think it's an interesting idea for the game, though to be fair, the quest behind this motorcycle is not the most interesting one of the new quests, to be honest. The other 3 quests I actually like, though don't expect too much. They are just very little quests, pretty straightforward. There is no comparison to the bigger, more complex quest designs in the main game or in Phantom Liberty. These are just little additions to the game to get these cars. They can be done fairly quick, and also they remind me a bit of a quest from Nexus mods. So it's just a very small addition because they are not, for example, fully voiced. A lot of dialogue and communication in these quests happens via text messages and so on, so you have to read them. As a result, it's not like you meet somebody and have a cutscene and it's fully voiced and you have acting going on and so on. That's not how it works, just very basic. The new photo mode options are also much appreciated, I guess especially for people who play on console. On PC you still have mods like the appearance menu mod, which is more powerful than what you can do in photo mode for the most part, but still the combination of these two is pretty nice, to be honest. And as promised, we also talk about mods. Currently, I have good news. The modding community was insanely fast, and most basic mods and also some other mods that need updates were updated already and work again with 2.3. So big shout outs and thank you to the modding community who made this possible in such a short amount of time. There are of course some mods that might need an update, so please be patient till the modders update those mods. And sometimes you also have some alternatives. For example, for me, Computer Anywhere is not working, but there's a mod called Carrying Laptop, and that works with the current version. So you can maybe switch things around and see if the other mod is updated at some point. I tested a lot of mods since 2.3 came out and updated also my modding list, which you can find in the descriptions. Maybe a bit messy, to be honest, because there are tons of old compatibility information of older versions and stuff in it still, but whatever, I think it can be useful, and these are a lot of mod recommendations that I use myself, so check it out if you want. Should be mostly up to date. And if I find problems, I usually write a little note about my problems I have found with said mod. Further, you can potentially also ask me in the comments if you have a specific question. Also, in case you have trouble with 2.3 and getting the AutoDrive and the Delamain Taxi feature to work, especially regarding the button prompts, then you potentially have some mod leftover files in your directory, which you either have to find manually and delete, or you can do a trick which we come to in a moment. But I had this problem that when I loaded 2.3 up, I wouldn't see the prompt for the AutoDrive at all. I had one symbol, but not the symbol in the UI that told me what key I would have to hold. By default it is G, by the way, on the keyboard. And same when I called the Delamain Taxi cab, the game would show me the map where I can pick a destination where the taxi should drive to. And by default you should hold F, but it would not show the F prompt and it would also not work. So I couldn't use these features. And I really tried to delete manually files and continued and it never worked. What I ended up doing was a little trick, because I did not want to re-download the 90 plus gigabytes of Cyberpunk. So what I did was I deleted all the files except for the archive folder, because 90 gigabytes of your Cyberpunk installation is just in this folder and mods don't change it. In this folder is a PC folder, and in that is one that is called content, one is app 1 and one is called mod. And in that mod folder, you have to remove all the archive files from mods. That's the only thing you have to kind of worry about. But all the other folders you can just keep. Delete all the other stuff in your base Cyberpunk folder, and then, for example, in Steam, verify your game integrity, or the game file integrity, and then Steam, for example, will notice, oh, these files are missing, and re-downloads them, which is just a couple of gigabytes instead of re-downloading the I don't know how many gigabytes it has at the end. So that is a little nice trick in case you don't want to re-download everything. Keep in mind to maybe make a backup of your directory, because some mods save settings and information, statistics and whatnot inside their folder. So if you delete them, they are gone. If you're fine with that, that's okay, but you could in theory restore those if you get some of those files back from a backup copy you make of this folder before you delete anything. I hope that was helpful to you people. If so, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, feel free to post them there as well. And press the like button, would be much appreciated. Maybe subscribe if you like more Cyberpunk, Elden Ring or other gaming content here on the channel, would also be much appreciated. A huge shout out and thank you to all my supporters, much appreciated, and see you people next time. Goodbye.